Hey, what's up and how's it going, all MRBers? I am Mike McRock for the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm about to give you my review as well as the results of this week's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling. If there's one thing I will give credit for TNA doing is that the way they open their shows week after week after week, it's always different. It's always something that the other company probably wouldn't want to do because they will get a lot of heat for it. And with that said, I like that 2 weeks ago TNA started with a 20-minute promo. Last week they started with the action with Eric Young and Abyss, and now this episode of TNA started with a promo. So I like how they keep the variety going with the openers to every show each week on TNA. And this episode started off with MVP coming down and cutting a really good promo and said he's about to make an executive decision in regards to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He gets interrupted by Magnus and Abyss, and Magnus gets on the microphone and says that Abyss has a contract with me, and every time that I'm in the ring, Abyss will be in the ring as well, because the only contract he has is with me. He only works for me only, stuff like that, blah blah blah. And then MVP comes back and says that, okay, so the only time that you're in the ring is when Abyss is in the ring, right? Okay, so I'm going to make a match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and it's going to be Magnus versus Abyss. And of course, Magnus is all like, no, that's not going to happen, because he's my bodyguard. He doesn't have his mindset on the team on the World Heavyweight Championship. And you have MVP trying to manipulate Abyss in a way into fight Magnus for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you had some. And then MVP makes the announcement of the triple threat match that happens next week on TNA between Magnus, Abyss, and Samoa Joe for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then Samoa Joe comes out and gets on the microphone and pretty much is in MVP's face and saying, what are you doing? This is not fair for me, because I want Magnus by myself and I don't want anyone around it. And basically what happened is that MVP comes back and says, well, Joe, I'm giving you the shot, but I have to give everyone equal fairness. And with that in mind, you had Samoa Joe getting into the MVP's face even more. And then Magnus comes in, he's about to say something. I thought for a second there, I thought he was going to say, okay, I see you two guys are busy, so I'm just going to leave. Instead, he just kept going on and on with no direction until Samoa Joe just all out attacks Magnus, and then Abyss comes in, and MVP got involved. I thought that was a little different, and because usually the authority figure in the ring should not get involved physically. He should be the guy that just goes away and have the guys in the ring just go at it. And then you had Eric Young come out and even the odds up and attacks Abyss. And then we cut to commercial, and then we come back with MVP still in the ring with Eric Young and Samoa Joe. And they were talking about Eric Young, MVP saying that Eric Young needs to earn his TNA World Heavyweight Championship match because Eric Young wants in the match. And basically he comes back and cuts a really good, realistic, believable promo where I really felt the passion from Eric Young, talking about motivation, validation, and participation, bringing up the past like World Elite, being this weird, crazy guy, and being a multiple-time champion, tag team champion, global champion. He was in Team Canada, things like that he brought up, and overall, this was really good from Eric Young. To me, this was Eric Young at his best when it came to his promo work. And Samoa Joe comes back and says, well, now you're in my way in my quest to become the World Heavyweight Champion. And then they just brawl, they go at it. And I like what the opener done on this show, because it got me interested to see what's going to happen with the world title picture next week. Even though I feel like that it feels like there's one too many World Heavyweight Championship matches. To me, it feels like there's too many World Heavyweight Championship matches on free TNA episodes, instead of building up to the next pay-per-view event. And I think we should see more of that. And later on, we saw Eric Young and Samoa Joe in an okay match. But the one thing it accomplished was that it gave Samoa Joe the momentum. But we need But the one thing they didn't do is Eric Young. They're not giving him anything going into this match, this four-way match next week, and I'm really concerned about that, because to me, TNA just has no direction where they're going with the World Heavyweight Championship. To me, what they should do is build up to the pay-per-view instead of having World Championship matches on free TV. You can have matches like we just had on the show, Samoa Joe versus Eric Young. You can have a tag team match, Abyss and Magnus versus Samoa Joe and Eric Young. You can have Abyss facing Magnus to see what happens there, because there's tension building going on. And we also should see something along the lines of Eric Young facing Magnus, or even Samoa Joe facing Abyss, to help build up a four-way match if you were to put it on a pay-per-view instead of free TV. That I would rather see. Moving on, we get to see a tag team match. Speaking of tag team matches, we had Magnus and Abyss team up, and they were taking on the Wolves. And I thought this was actually a not bad match. I think the Wolves really shined throughout. They were on fire tonight, doing tag team maneuvers left, right, and center. And there was one really cool spot where the Wolves countered the choke slam from Abyss, and how they just flipped over and landed on their feet. That was great tag team continuity right there. And to me, the way they booked the Wolves is a little questionable, because one week they were in a match with the Bromans and the other tag team of Sonata and Tigre Uno, and they couldn't beat either one of those teams, and they had them lose the titles to the Bromans, and now all of a sudden they go over Magnus and Abyss. Very, very booking strange decisions, I think. And on top of that, the way this match ended was Magnus tapping out very quickly to the half Boston Crab. And I'm like, oh good God, can they make Magnus even look weaker even more? Bad. Speaking of bad, moving on, we get to see Angelina Love and Velvet Sky cut a promo. Angelina comes out and says that Velvet Sky hasn't been answering my phone calls, stuff like that. And Velvet comes out and pretty much talks back at Angelina. Angelina says that she has gone soft, and I actually do agree with her. And I thought this promo was just okay. The only thing it accomplished was that it left that cliffhanger of what Velvet Sky is going to do, what her decision is going to be after Angelina gave her the ultimatum in choosing either Madison Rayne or Angelina Love. We all know how this is going to happen, because the match happened and it was just okay. There was a botch move at the beginning of the match, so it made just an okay match. And what happened at the end was Velvet Sky turning on Madison Rayne, taking her out, and putting her back into the ring so Angelina Love can pin her 1, 2, 3. and Angelina was like to Velvet Sky, and I'm weird gutter mind thoughts in my head. Anyway, and what happened was that Angelina Love and Velvet Sky are a heel tag team, and I'm like, okay, where's the balance? There's no balance with the Knockouts division. You got too many heels, and you got very few faces in the Knockouts division. And another thing I had a problem with was that, okay, Velvet Sky, about a month ago, she was having some relationship issues with Chris Sabin, and she dealt with them very well, and she got over very well. And then you go from that to turning her heel. It's one thing to make it very predictable, but it's another thing to throw in that logic fail as well. And I'm like, oh good God, what is TNA doing with Velvet Sky and making her turn heel when about a month ago she was involved with Chris Sabin and that was going well? And I'm like, oh my God, like, where's the logic? I'm just going to leave that question open. If you want to comment below, feel free. I'm just going to move on from that. And then you got Bully Ray coming out, and he had a bunch of people coming out with tables, and he cut this really watered down promo about Bobby Roode being the next Dixie Carter, and the last thing that TNA needs is another Dixie Carter. We heard the stuff before Bully Ray. Okay, let's talk about things that are different and to help build up this match between you and Bobby Roode. And I feel like it's just like something out of John Cena, only not, where you have this guy come out and it's very predictable, watered down promo, and then you have Bobby Roode come out pretty much saving the segment, just yelling at Bully Ray and saying that I'm the one that's going to beat you in this tables match upcoming, whenever it's going to be. And you have the two of them go at it. And the funny thing is, as I'm watching these two fighting with all the tables surrounding outside and inside the ring, I'm like, okay, this is going to happen here. This is going to happen here. Bobby Roode's going to counter this. Bobby Roode's going to counter that. And those things happen. And I'm like, this is just way too predictable as I'm watching this, and I'm just not interested. I'm not buying into this feud with Bobby Roode and Bully Ray because it's wrong for Bully Ray to turn to a face when he was doing really good heelish things about a month ago, and I'm like, why is this happening? And the only thing that's saving this feud between these two guys is Bobby Roode. It's good promo work, but with Bully Ray, I'm like, oh man, just turn him back, please. It's like Stone Cold turning heel at WrestleMania 17, only in the opposite direction. And I'm like, man, what is TNA doing with Bully Ray? And stuff like that. So moving on, we get to see what I think is the greatest highlights out of this show, and it's a series of videos of EC3 and Rockstar Spud going after Willow, the hunt of Willow, and you have Rockstar Spud in that ridiculous suit of the wood trees and the face paint on his face to make him look very what's the word I'm looking for? And oh look, the replay of TNA's on, and you have Rockstar Spud in this ridiculous outfit. This is the funniest stuff I ever seen. This was one of the redeeming qualities of this show on TNA. Is these series of video footages of EC3 and Rockstar Spud, and what happened at the end was that you had Willow attack Rockstar Spud around in the middle of those things, and that actually jumped me a bit, and I'm like, whoa, that was cool. And at the end, you saw Ethan Carter coming after Willow. He sees Rockstar tied up on this bed or something, and then he was looking. EC3 is looking for Willow, and then out from behind was Willow and attacked EC3, drops the umbrella on him, and like I said, this is one of the good things that actually happened on this show. Moving on, we got to see a couple of little 1-minute clips. There was one clip of Kenny King. Finally, he's back on TNA, and I'm down with it. Let's put him in the ring. Let's put him in a match. Let's get this going. He also had Knox in this reality video package with this really hot chick. It's probably his sister for all I know. And there's this thing where you have all these really broken down video games. You know, he's talking to her. He's talking about trying to talk to his father, how he has this rocky relationship with him, and this is pretty much reality television with Mike Knox, and I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. And we also got to saw Samuel Shaw and Christy Hemme backstage, and basically what this was Samuel Shaw coming in, frightening Christy trying to act. It was just okay, and you had Samuel Shaw cut off a piece of her hair, and now he's suspended for 1 week. I was hoping he would just kidnap her instead of cut a piece of her hair. That's the only complaint I have there. And then we got to saw the main event, and it was Gunner versus James Storm, Unlocked. And this was, to me, the show. This was the match of the night, and this was a very physical match. It delivered on that part. And there were a couple of really good spots as well. You had Gunner and Storm with the trash can lids back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to the head, shots to the head. You had Gunner spearing James Storm when he was on the apron through the table outside the ring, and even the suplex off the top rope with the one broken chair and the other not broken chair that he landed on. And like I said, this was a good quality physical match. I don't know, I would consider it better or not as good as their steel cage match, but it's equally there. It was a good quality match, and like I said, this was the match of the night, and this was, to me, the only good match that was on TNA. And overall, I would give this show a rating out of probably a 6.5, maybe a 7. It wasn't really the perfect episode of TNA. It did have its good qualities about it, but there were a lot of things that just really didn't connect with me. So overall, like I said, it was just an okay show. It was very hit and miss, and to me, I hope next week's show feels like a better show than this week's. And with all that being said, if you saw this episode of TNA, what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button just down below this video. You can follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like us on Facebook at the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.